Placid5 here, and we've all heard the stories of actors and actresses hating each other on set for one reason or another.
Oh, it's 5 lines, man. If I wanted to give you a line reading, I just get in front of the camera and do it.
And today, I'm going to be breaking down just some of the most famous feuds between actors and actresses on Hollywood sets. I'll be talking about everything from TV shows to movies, and so much more, so be sure to stick around. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with the latest content. All the support is appreciated. And enough talking, let's get right into this. First up is Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams on the set of the classic romantic drama, The Notebook. While they seem to have chemistry on screen, as the role calls for it, the opposite was completely not true behind the scenes. According to the director and others working on the movie, the two stars couldn't stand each other, with Gosling barely being able to read lines off-screen with his fellow co-star McAdams. Next, we take a long trip over the lands of Westeros, where Jerome, Flynn, and Lena, Headey seem to butt heads despite barely being in scenes with each other on Game of Thrones, and this was by design. Sources said that the former real-life couple weren't on speaking terms when the filming for the show began. It was so bad that the two couldn't even be in the same room together. While it seemed like they were on speaking terms at one point, it became very clear that these two were just oil and water. Next up is Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey on the set of the classic dancing movie Dirty Dancing. In an autobiography, Swayze recalls how hard it was to work with his co-star. She was apparently hypersensitive about any criticism, and her silly moods would constantly disrupt filming, he said. It sadly wasn't all smiles and laughs for the cast and crew, even though they were completely breaking it down on the dance floor. Kind of in the same vein of the romance, we move on to Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes in Baz Luhrmann's 2000 remake of Romeo and Juliet. Claire Danes found young Leonardo DiCaprio to be immature due to his constant pranking on set. He, on the other hand, found her to be rather uptight. Not surprising. Luckily, the two were able to show on-screen chemistry when the time came, but their feelings towards each other are pale in comparison to others on this list. Which brings us to our next duo, Will Smith and Janet Hubert on the set of the classic 90s comedy The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Noticeable to die-hard fans, Hubert was replaced between seasons 3 and 4 with another actress due to a crazy feud between a young Will Smith and her. She claimed that working with Will Smith was a nightmare. She ended up being fired because of the feud. Additionally, Hubert put her foot down and said that she would never reprise the role for a reunion show, claiming Smith was an egomaniac. The two seem to have made up, or at least talked it out, in the 2020 reunion special. And going towards an absolutely futuristic approach, up next is Harrison Ford and Sean Young on the set of Ridley Scott's 1982 sci-fi classic Blade Runner, while Ford and Young played lovers in a futuristic Los Angeles. When the cameras stopped rolling, the two reportedly couldn't stand each other. It got so bad that the film crew nicknamed their love scene the hate scene. Yikes. Well, at least we got an extraordinary movie out of it. Next is Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep on the set of Kramer vs. Kramer. Even the finest actors aren't immune to some drama. The two had their creative differences on the set of the movie, and legend has it Hoffman went off on Streep when she made changes to the script. He apparently shouted, "Meryl, why don't you stop carrying the flag for feminism and just act the scene?" Hoffman also actually slapped her in the scene that called for it, and she wasn't expecting it. Streep later wrote, "This was my first movie, and it was my first take in my first movie, and he just slapped me." Going over to the musical space, Debbie Reynolds and Gene Kelly is up next. The two clashed constantly on the set of one of the best musicals of all time, and one of my personal favorites, Singing in the Rain. According to her memoir titled Unsinkable, Reynolds recalled her terrible experience on set working with Gene Kelly in particular. She stated that he'd come to rehearsal and criticized everything she did without any kind of encouragement. She also added how aggressive he was in the kissing scenes she had with Kelly. To quote, "Gene took me tightly in his arms and shoved his tongue down my throat. I was stunned that this 39-year-old man would do this to me." And finally, up next is Angelina Jolie and Johnny Depp on the set of the 2010 movie The Tourist. With two A-list actors, their chemistry was supposed to be off the charts, but that was definitely not the case when the cameras were off. Jolie was supposedly disappointed that Depp didn't get in better shape for the role, and that he didn't cut his hair for it either, in which he replied that she was so full of herself. Yikes. Well, that's all the feeds we have for today, but if you want to see more, please be sure to let me know below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with the latest. Thank you very much for watching and for the support, and see you on the next list.